Hi everybody, I hope you're all doing really well. Back today to do an August TBR. Now, I don't normally do TBRs, at least not for months, but I currently have 12 books left on my official unread book TBR pile, which means that being able to complete my full TBR in 1 month is possible. I've had a bit of a slow reading pace this year, more often than not averaging around about 6 books a month, but in July I ended up reading 13. So that makes this little pile here a lot more doable. And so that is my challenge for myself this month, is that I would like to read all 12 books that are currently left on my full TBR so that we can start September the 1st completely fresh, which is perfect timing for me because I find the autumn and early winter months, I like to have that little bit of freedom and flexibility in order to just follow my nose when it comes to books, whether it is that I want to read something that's on the Booker prize, whether I want to read like a spooky seasonal read, something more Christmassy, or you know, just the flexibility of going into a bookshop, finding a book that I like the look of and just being able to buy it without feeling guilty. But yes, as I say, I have 12 books here. Something that is going to hugely help is I think 7 of them I can actually find audiobook alternatives for, should I want to be able to listen to them while doing chores or at work, which is going to make the process of going through them a lot quicker. If I've got access to the audiobook, I am going to use it, and I don't have an issue with flitting between physically reading and listening. I also have a couple of long train journeys coming up and time that I'm going to be sending away in August, so this all feels pretty doable. And so yeah, here is my rough plan. So 2 books I have a very solid plan for reading are The Miniaturist and The House of Fortune by Jessie Burton. These are 2 books in the same series. The Miniaturist I have read before, but it was back when it first came out, I think in 2014. But it has been back on my radar to read again because I don't really remember very much of it, but when I saw The House of Fortune in a charity shop, I just decided I really wanted to finally get back to this series. And so I'm going to be reading both of these in August, reading about 50 pages a day, and I'm going to be doing that with the lovely Emily over at Novelle Novels. This is the first time that we're doing a buddy read together, and going at around about 50 pages a day should be able to bring us up to speed within about 17-18 days, which is absolutely perfect for my plans for August. I'll be able to get both of these read before I go up north to see my family. The Miniaturist, I have my physical copy. I also have an ebook that I can get via my library. The House of Fortune, I have both my physical copy and an audio. So even if I don't manage to finish this before I go home, I've got a version of it that I can listen to, so I don't have to take this paperback with me. But yeah, my plan for week 1 is to get through The Miniaturist, as well as Medea by Rosie Hewlett. I've heard nothing but great things about this Greek myth retelling. I'm currently 97 pages into it so far, and I'm really enjoying it. I do have access to the audio of this one, so as I say, if I wanted to get through any of these reads while I'm doing other things, I've got that option. But this is basically my week 1 setup. Week 2, in between my Miniaturist reading, I would also like to read The Lady of the English by Elizabeth Chadwick, mainly because I'm already partway through this, and as with The Miniaturist and The House of Fortune, I'd like to get this paperback read before I go up north. I'm currently 114 pages into this one. This is an Empress Matilda, the Anarchy retelling, which I am really enjoying. I just put down momentarily, but I will be coming back to this in August. The other book on my pile for week 2, which I do have the audiobook available for, is Blood, Fire and Gold by Estelle Paranque, which is a history of Elizabeth I and Catherine de Medici. So yeah, week 2, we're having quite a royal week. And as I say, during week 2, I am also hoping to have finished The Miniaturist and get on to The House of Fortune. Midway through August, I am going to be going back up north, going to see my family, also going to my best friend's hen do. So I'm going to need a couple of books with me to travel. The first one that I would like to get to is The Lady Elizabeth by Alison Weir, which is Alison Weir's take on the first 25 years or so of Elizabeth's life, basically up until Mary I dies and Elizabeth ascends the throne. I have actually read the sequel to this, which was The Marriage Game, which looked entirely at Elizabeth's reign and particularly her marriage prospects and what she thought about marriage. I had never gone back and read the first book, and I feel like this will be a great little train read for me. And then my books for week 3 when I am back at home. First off, starting with The Biscuit, The History of a Very British Indulgence by Lizzie Collingham. Mainly picking this up because even though technically I got this as a present for Christmas, I know that my mum bought this pretty much this time last year when we went to Chatsworth House. So even though this hasn't been in my possession for that long, I still feel like I should read this before the year is out. And also I feel like this will be a fun little thing to get to after I finished up working from home, because I will be working from home during my days, but then we'll have the evenings to chill out with my family, and this will be like a nice little relief. And then my next book for this week, which I can also get on audio, you're seeing there's a bit of a theme, a book that I'm going to read completely physically and a book that I can read both physically and audio, is Firebrand by Elizabeth Freemantle. Even if I didn't have the initial plan to want to read all of my TBR by the beginning of September. I would want to read this because of the fact that the film adaptation of this book is coming out in the UK in September. This is Elizabeth Freemantle's retelling of the life of Catherine Parr, the sixth and final wife of Henry VIII. And I'm just so keen to know what I think of this book and the way that Elizabeth Freemantle writes her story. Last year I read Disobedient by this author, which was about Artemisia Gentileschi, and I had such a great time with that. I loved her storytelling, so I'm hoping for great things with this book. And then into the final week and a bit, when I am back in Oxford, I have Messalina, The Life and Times of Rome's Most Scandalous Empress by Honor Cargill Martin. This was a gift from Shah over at Thoroughly Enjoyed Books. This was everywhere in history spaces last year, and I'm very keen to know what I think of it. And my fiction read for this week will be The Good Wife of Bath by Karen Brooks. I've mentioned this previously in the context of the fact that the publisher that I work for, Princeton University Press, did a non-fiction book that was all about the wife of Bath. And so it's kind of whetted my appetite for reading more about her and seeing what this author's take is on her. I've also recently watched A Knight's Tale for the first time. Don't ask me how it took me so long to watch that film, but I don't know, it's just put me in a bit of a Chaucer mood. Then finally, we are down to the last two books on my TBR. And the reason I've left them till last is because of the fact that I'm going to be going to London in the last week of August. And because I'm going to be walking here, there and everywhere in London, I'm going to need a podcast or an audiobook that is going to hold out for a long time. And so that most likely, though I would like to physically read this if I got the opportunity, but I think it's probably going to end up being more practical to do on audio, I do have Fayne by Anne-Marie MacDonald. This chunky book, which I have heard nothing but good things about. This made it on top of a lot of people's best books of the year last year. I believe there is a bit of a Bronte connection to this book as well, which really intrigues me. And yeah, though I would like to physically read this, I think it's probably going to end up being more practical as my audio listen for this week. But you can tell me if I'm making a mistake on this. Maybe I should actually take this home with me because I'll be in West Yorkshire. I am a pondering. But the physical read that I'm planning on having for my London trip, I was thinking I probably want something that has chapters, something that I can kind of dip in and out of when I'm on the tube. And so the one that I landed on, which once again, this could be a mistake, but you let me know, is A History of the Roman Empire in 21 Women by Emma Southon. Because of the way that this is broken up into the 21 women, I feel like I won't be so bereft if I have to cut myself off in the middle of a chapter. The one downside to this is that the copy I have is a hardback, which obviously makes it a bit more chunky and not quite as hand luggage friendly, but I'm hoping my reasoning makes sense. But once I finish that, that will take me to the end of my TBR. All of the books that I currently own and have not read. As I say, with the hope that we get to September the 1st and my TBR is completely reset, refreshed, and I can get excited about, you know, 1 or 2 new books rather than going into a charity shop and purchasing 5 at once. I need to stop doing that. It's a bad habit. But there we go. That is my rough plan of how I'm going to tackle the 12 books left on my TBR in August. Please do let me know if you think any of these books should be swapped around, especially if you have quite strong feelings about me either listening or physically reading Fayne, because I know a lot of people love that book. A couple of people are looking forward to me reading that one. So if you think it's a mistake for me to do it on audio rather than actually physically reading it, please do let me know. I'd appreciate any comments that you have on that. I'd also love to know anything that you're planning on reading in August. What's in store for you for our last summer month? I would love to hear from you. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks. Bye.